Let me know if this has happened in your game of choice. Over in Apex Legends, they want you to pay up to $240 for a Final Fantasy-themed cosmetic weapon and an in-game grave marker via a gacha-based loot box event available for a limited time only. Live services are really exhausting, aren't they? I mean, a perfect storm of buzzwords, gross systems, and avarice that leaves regular players of these events feeling pressured, while those with the money to spend just can't see the problem because it's just money. They're rich. It doesn't mean anything to them. So today we are going to go through the story of what Apex Legends is asking you to spend money on, the gacha-influenced way they're going about it, and the way in which these licensed events are just one of the many ways that these live services can claw back audiences' money. But if you give our sponsor a moment of your time, they'll give us some money. No gacha involved. Boot.dev, their founders are fellow viewers. That's why they reached out, and I absolutely love their product. Boot.dev is a programming role-playing game that makes learning back-end development fun. It offers quests, levels, achievements, a global leaderboard, all that to keep it spicy, and code Bellular News gets you a 25% discount off your first payment. And there's beans to be earned too, because US-based back-end developers earn over $100,000 a year in median salary per Stack Overflow's data, and of course, being a programmer, you've often got terrific options like working from home and all of that. Now, Boot.dev is specializing in back-end development using Python and Go at your own pace. And the thing that's the killer feature is basically avoiding tutorial hell and just starting to code. That is exactly what their fantastic platform is geared towards. And just going through the various topics, you can see there's an utter boatload of content here, starting off very approachable and then going properly in depth. And of course, they're adding new lessons all the time. Essentially, they're a one-stop shop that lets you avoid bouncing around random tutorials on YouTube here and there and actually just follow a structured learning path built by experts in the field that will have you shipping projects and feeling confident. And if you get stuck, they've got a learning community over on Discord. It absolutely slays how I learned programming, I'll tell you that, and you can get started today with 25% off your first purchase using code Bellular News. Just what the hell is worth $240? Well, apparently this death box, right? So every time you defeat somebody in Apex Legends, you get, this drops, and that's worth $240. Perhaps the Buster Sword, is that worth $240? Today's a fun one, actually. I mean, our editor and researcher over here in the news channel are both big Apex players, so this is also coming in with their experience playing an absolute shitload of this game. Now, talking about money is inherently a little bit weird. I mean, hey, if you're an oil oligarch and you just buy all the cosmetics, this is an absolute pittance. It's no money. For other people, though, this is multiple video games. This is food for a certain period of time. It is actually part of a living budget. So overall, that's the question that Respawn Entertainment has been asking players as they are attempting to get people on board with this $240 cosmetic box that they'll only see when they take out an opponent when gambling for a Buster Sword cosmetic that has a 1% drop rate, and yes, you did actually hear that right. And with that, Apex's latest event has really put two things into just stark relief for audiences. Number one, licensed branding really inflates the price of cosmetics, even when that is on top of already high prices for ultimately what are just database entries with some scarcity. And the second thing is that this is where live service games have got to go in order to, well, just get engagement, to get interest from people. Are you wondering why brands are appearing absolutely everywhere? Yeah, the brand invasion is happening for a reason. Now, there's times when we talk about this, and it's a game that's just on a publisher's platform, and you don't really know what's going on. Here's the deal, though. The likes of Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, Apex Legends, Call of Duty, they are on Steam. And every time Call of Duty was doing those black sell battle passes that were just a little bit more greedy, what did you see? COD revenue shot up in Steam. And right here, guess what this has done? Oh, big surprise, Apex Legends top sellers rank number 1. And this chart is ranked by money, right? It's ranked by revenue. So that is honestly a pretty damn crazy situation. Let's start from the top and break this down. Number 1, the event itself. This is Apex's first game-based crossover brand event. Up until now, right? Other than a few cosmetic charms and badges that were shared between EA games for some cross-promo, the whole Apex universe, it had full internal sort of consistency, lore. There was nothing game-breaking, right? This is not a game where Goku is fighting Superman while Alan Wake attacks them with a flashlight and John Wick then headshots them all. and get to Victory Royale, right? That's not Apex. Now, there have been some referential skins, like the Gaiden event that was not particularly subtle. I mean, looking there, not really a big official partnership with another universe, with another big company. Now, this is something that Apex actually had quite a bit of praise for, because look, everyone's getting kind of pissed at the Fortnite-ification of everything. I mean, if I log into World of Warcraft and suddenly I see somebody transform into Optimus Prime and then drive down the road as a big truck, I think I'll know that everything has just went a little bit crazy. Now, this Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is basically kicking off its whole big, like, marketing shtick, right? The other side to that, though, that a lot of people will forget, is that Apex Legends is particularly popular in Japan. The reason why Apex Legends, in fact, went onto the Nintendo Switch, or at least one of the prime justifications, is because the Japanese market absolutely loves Apex. Indeed, Apex is even helping propel PC as a platform in Japan. So this really does matter, and this will probably be pretty damn big over there. Now, this is a time-limited mode with an entirely new set of melee combat animations, new materia-themed attachments, and even some AI follower tech that is being tested. But really, what is it all about? It is about money. A lot of people would say, $240, whatever, you don't need to buy it. It's just a cosmetic. I would say, though, if it's there, why is it there? What do they want you to do? They obviously want you to buy it. And then it is that a reasonable value proposition? Look at what a lot of other companies will do. I mean, even the days where, I know this is kind of crazy, you could buy a DLC that maybe has 4, 5, 6 hours of a story. And, you do stuff with your characters, you have some fun, and it's a little slice of the game that you loved. And you'd maybe pay, $15 for that. Nowadays, $15 gets you, some cosmetic armor in Diablo? A tiny bit in Apex? For the average customer, this has got so much worse than the past. So much worse than, honestly, games as they have been for all of my formative memories of this medium. Now, all those gameplay things are really in service of one major thing, and that is getting your eyeballs to take a look at that store and the 36 potential purchases that you can make during this time-limited mode where potentially those purchases will never appear again, right? You know, as far as you're concerned, this could be a rare thing that in 10 years you'll have in your account that none of those other bozos do. Now, of course, Apex is a free-to-play, and that means that this is operating just as you would expect. You've got skins that are coming in at $19.99, $20 worth of Apex coins. Now, it's slightly more than, what you would have been paying for equivalent skins, but collaboration skins by the game are classified as iconic and are time-limited purchases, and do, of course, remember licensing costs change the margins there. And there's actually a powerful example of this. When Epic Games recently talked about how they are doing layoffs, even in the face of Fortnite actually being on the upswing, they said that the unit economics of Fortnite actually were not as strong. Because where was their growth coming from? It was coming from deals with brands where a hefty percentage of that money has got to go to the brand. But here's the thing with Apex, it's not just skins and battle passes, it's also a free-to-play loot box game, one that is operated on the sort of gacha loot box model from its inception. The rub here is they're using this in a way they have not before, and in a way that is worse. Let's talk about the fine detail here. As captured by Eurogamer, initial concerns that the 36 purchases would cost you more than a total of $300 were actually incorrect, because it's more insidious. I mean, what did you think? Did you think it would be more charitable? No, it's actually worse. So, I mean, look, even just look at this UI. Like, this UI is just so overwhelming and full of detail. But the big thing here, the big deal in this event is the Buster Sword. That's the mythic item, and then to a lesser extent, that death box. Now, any character can use it, so it's not like previous collection events that featured a mythic skin or an heirloom weapon that was only usable by one character. Now, the Buster Sword is here, and you can use it on your main no matter what your main is. And that means that the total addressable market of this Buster Sword item is so much larger than previous heirloom weapons. A lot more people are going to want to chase this. So let's examine how it works by just taking a look at that UI. You can see pack contains one event item. It gives you the probabilities there under 1% for a mythic, 5% iconic, 20% legendary, 75% epic. That's for one event item, and then 2 standard items where it's breaking those down. You can get a 4-pack though, and if you get a 4-pack, it guarantees a legendary or an iconic or, it'll do that until all of the those rarities are obtained. There is also then your milestone rewards. Look at this, 4 items to next milestone. Can you see where this is going, folks? So the idea here is that you progress through this, getting all of those like legendary items via, the way that it works, sort of guaranteed, and then you progress all the way up to the final 36 items. You've made your way through that like little bar, and then you have all of those things. So you would then say, why doesn't this cost $300 for all 36 items and the box, as people initially suspected? Well, first up, you could spend crafting materials on loot boxes rather than buying those loot boxes with premium currency. The thing is, though, this would be prohibitively expensive in terms of crafting materials for all but the most dedicated players. Now, for everybody, the first loot box is free. And then there's a discount that is applied to purchasing loot boxes, and that discount is dependent on your number of acquired items. Yeah, so the first one is free, then 90% off the recommended retail price for your first purchase loot box. Then the next 4 are 50% off, the next 8 are 30% off, and then there is no discount for the final stretch of 19 loot boxes. And then on top of that, you have the way that if you buy the 4-pack, they've got their own incentivized drop rate that will get you more premium event items faster. Efficiency, how amazing. So to buy 36 boxes and get everything will still cost 26,700 coins, which is a cost of $240. If you are, of course, buying the most efficient coin bundles. Now, that would, of course, mean that you're not taking advantage of any of those crafting options. But once you've bought in a few times, right, you've spent a bit of money to get into that system, you're trying to get that Buster Sword drop, well, you're going to be more entrenched. And this basically goes to like a fundamental, it's like a fundamental thing. You know the way whenever someone's like out in a bar, right, and someone's like, uh-oh, I've got to break the seal. And from that point on, they're going to be making a trip to the bathroom every 30 minutes because, you've broken the seal. The best predictor of someone going on to be a whale or to make future purchases is, in fact, them breaking the seal, right? It's all about turning a free person into a payer, and once they're a payer, they are far more likely to just continue and, of course, either be like a minnow-style player who's doing some of those optional purchases, or a whale who is just going absolutely buck wild with their wallet. And then, of course, you've got the power of the sunk cost fallacy. I mean, this is so well designed as a cash extraction system because you're going to go through, getting all of these. And look, the next 4 are 50% off, the next 8 are 30% off. And when you buy them in bundles of 4, there's incentivization there. So basically, it's going to get a freebie, think, oh, okay, 90% off. I'll just get one. And then get a pack of 4, and then get 2 packs of 4. And at that point, you will have think about like what your game UI will look like, how many of the event items you will have. You will see that little progress bar be halfway there. The sunk cost fallacy is going to be so real. And in a way, psychologically, even though you are far, far, far less than halfway to the finish line in terms of the amount of money that you've spent, when you actually look at the event bar, when you look at like what your inventory looks like, how many event items you've got, it's not going to feel like that. So this is psychologically from there and like kind of genius, but of course, it's pretty manipulative, isn't it? At the end of the day, this is not saying, hello gamer, we have made this. For your consideration, would you like to purchase it? This is, hey gamer, we've made this. It's at the end of some crazy system that is designed to play on all of your little psychological things because you are, in fact, just an ape descendant. We descended from the trees, now we're playing video games, and everybody's trying to weaponize our bizarre brains with all of their, fun tendencies that are probably a lot more designed around, keeping our fellow apes happy and, I don't know, like picking fruit in the trees and jumping about the place and having a great old time. Why did we leave the trees? Really do have to wonder, but anyway, I suppose they put grappling hooks in video games, that must be the next best thing. And to compare this to some other events they've done in the game, right, that had, character-specific weapon cosmetics and mythic skins, those basically would evolve based on challenge completion over time, and that would be $170, which in fairness is still a lot of money. So, overall then, this is an event that, unless you plan it out perfectly, does, and have loads of crafting materials, that sort of thing. This is one that costs more than usual, that is of interest to way more players because that Buster Sword is usable, for everybody, and of course because of the lucrative appeal of the Final Fantasy brand. This is a perfect mix of money, of attention. It's done quite well. Now, obviously, either of those, right? Like the attention or just the way that they're getting money, either of those would sort of be enough to justify an event in the balance sheet where it's like, okay, you know what? These are some premium heirloom skins for, our own in-game universe. There you go, some money. Or hey, this is Final Fantasy. Let's get people in. So it's that perfect mix of having super optimized money and that big brand. Now, why do both so hard? Why do the big brand? Why also really drive up those money-making techniques? Well, EA executive balance sheet, but you might be wondering, like, why now? Why is it went like this? Because Apex had felt like one of the good guys because it was just such a good video game. Well, Apex launched in 2019, and the closest they've gotten to this sort of thing before is having Post Malone, who is a fan of Apex Legends, design a game mode and some skins during the last season. What is the benefit of cracking the seal on licensed now, 4 years into the lifespan of this video game? And the answer is no. Live service game can be profitable forever. This is probably something that keeps people in C-suites up at night. We worry about normal things. They're worrying about like, oh no, what if one day people don't turn up to Apex? But look, big picture, it's hard to get somebody to stick with a game like forever, ad infinitum. There's other games out there. It's a really competitive market. And fundamentally, with these live services, like these are big, almost mono games, where if you want to keep up with 2 live services, that's pretty much possible. If you want to keep up with 2, 3, 4, that's going to be a challenge. Now, what if you're an adult with, a job, maybe a family, some disposable income, and you're actually interested in, you're interested in Halo, you're interested in Apex, or maybe Overwatch as well. It's almost completely designed so that you cannot get the things that you would want with a realistic amount of time, and that of course is where the money comes in. But this can only go so long. There can only be so many competing live services before, well, things just kind of run out. And with that, we can take a look at Apex. So its Steam launched in 2020, and of course then a high point of a game-wide rework with Season 16 in 2023 led to some player numbers just really surging. I mean, you can see this absolutely incredible growth. Look at our y-axis. That's 500,000 concurrent players. Like, that's a hell of a lot. But you can see, since, sort of the first third of 2023, that number's been going down. If you're an EA exec, maybe you wanted that to stay around 500k, or maybe that curve to continue, maybe even hit 1 million so you can have all of the money. But no, it's actually been dropping. It's now closer to 250k than the 500k that it once was. Now, what does this represent? This represents millions of players having a bloody great time in a well-designed game and having a lot of fun, and likely some transitory success fading into the background as the game's true healthy player base continues on. Well, that's probably not okay if you are Andrew Wilson, CEO of EA, or whoever the hell else is sort of making decisions here. Now, here's the Q1 fiscal report and some of Wilson's, some of the things Wilson has said. Apex is one of the strongest franchises and live services in the industry, with 18 million monthly active users and an impressive retention of over 70%. After a highly successful 16th season, we launched Season 17 with new variations of gameplay and monetization. While this season did not meet our financial expectations, the team has applied important learnings, including new game mechanics to engage and retain players, which are already gaining momentum. We will continue to reinforce the strengths of the franchise by blah, 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 doing that, as well as culturalization in key markets. I mean, hey, credit to Andrew. He did just tell us what they're doing and why. Just to make enough money, Look, and it's not fall short as in we're in big trouble. It's fall short of expectations because clearly I saw this number going beyond 500k, almost near, 700k. They saw that number and thought, oh, I suppose it'll stay like that. Or I suppose it'll just continue like it has for these past seasons. So ultimately, Apex Legends is not doing badly. It's not doing as well as it perhaps could have when you look at that graph, but maybe that's a completely unrealistic expectation to have because, I mean, you have a spike. Do not project growth based on a spike. That is stupid. As for the game, they've already tried the massive overhaul and the investment into the game's core appeal. That stuff has worked, but it has just not had the incredible staying power that the C-suite, hoped, imagined, was deluded into thinking is something the team could achieve. So the odds are that this licensed event, probably this was being planned long before Season 17, because look, it does take time for brands to actually talk to each other and for deals to be inked. maybe 12 months, right? This is probably in the works by the end of like 2022. But that does not change the fact that this has happened, that this has been profitable, that it has topped the Steam charts, that we're kind of using as a bit of a yardstick, because obviously we don't see console, we don't see the EA app. But while this event could have been planned for ages, the actual monetization design, well, that's likely going to be iterated on and iterated on up until the point where it gets locked in for ship. So this is a perfect FOMO-fueled way of getting your existing audience to pay attention and bringing in some new people from another brand. I mean, even think about, say, Fortnite and Alan Wake. I mean, the younger audience playing Fortnite are probably not massive Alan Wake fans. Not their fault, purely just something to do with, time and them being a bit younger. But what could it have done? It could have brought some Alan Wake people over to Fortnite, or where those Venn diagrams crossed over, you just make some extra money. So this is the type of event that makes you a lot more money, has got that premium brand appeal, and it has these cosmetics that can draw people in from other audiences. That's why Overwatch has Diablo skins. It's why Destiny has licensed armor sets every few months now. That is why the brands are all just diving in here. And it's also, for these brands, as they talk to each other, very mutually reinforcing, because it's like, we're going to make some money, you're going to make some money, and we're both going to get a whole lot of marketing. The marketing that we spend will help your brand, and the marketing that your brand spends will help our brand. Hey, the power of synergy. But to be honest, if I see any more of these companies, achieving synergy via Blue Ocean's opportunity, I think I'm just going to throw myself off a cliff. Not really. Come on, like YouTube, that was a joke. So that's that. In Apex, the Final Fantasy skins are literally a tier of their own. Iconic skins with iconic pricing. Reminds me of Aiden Pierce's iconic cap, which I'm sure you remember from that hit cultural video game experience. That's the situation today, though, with Apex Legends. This is but a case study. We are going to see this happen in more and more things. Now, look at a game like Overwatch 2 with what it's been doing. I mean, it had Le Seraphim, who are the K-pop band, but that was just a bundle that people could buy. Well, what happens if eventually there is, I don't know, a Buster Sword, and the whole joke is that finally Reinhardt is the only guy who could actually wield a Buster Sword credibly, and you can replace his hammer with a Buster Sword and maybe get a whole bunch of new cosmetics, and whenever he does his big ultimate slam, I don't know, Buster Sword big power comes out, and it's done via gacha thing. That's going to make Blizzard money, and at the end of the day, this Apex Legends is a free-to-play shooting game. Overwatch is a free-to-play shooting game. The only problem that Overwatch has is, guess what? It price-anchored with audiences as being a premium experience and then tried to change the terms of the deal after they had profoundly let people down. And that is why, if you look at, say, Activision, you look at maybe the business elements over at Blizzard, they are probably seething as they watch this and think, my God, just look what they are able to get away with that we can't. Probably not understanding that you cannot put a price on the positive brand association and the love that people had for skins in Overwatch 1. That in doing the sorts of things they've been doing, they have squandered that amazing, half intangible, half very real for your revenue asset. So there you go. Everyone's eating, the brands are eating each other alive in a big pit. Big pit of brands slithering around on top of each other. Absolutely lovely. Look, I recommend you do whatever the hell you want to do. It's your own money. As long as you actually know what the crack is, know what these companies are doing, and know the techniques they're trying to use against you. You're an adult. Do whatever you want. I'm just going to say, I don't think this is good value for money. I don't think it's good for our industry. I don't think it is good for the expectations of younger audiences who are going to be growing up seeing this. I mean, as an example, one of the people in our team has a kid, right? Now, I think, maybe if you're around my age as well, you start to think well, what if I have kids? And, I'm I love video games. And maybe that's a hobby a kid will also enjoy. Who knows? It's up to the kid, but whatever. Can you think about, just turning into a parent these days, and then, your kids seeing this in a video game that they play, and they're going to start to think that this sort of thing is normal. And then what happens when other companies do it, when other brands do it? I don't know, when there's a digital Doritos experience that is a gacha game where you get digital rewards or something. I mean, this is the hell we are going into, folks. Okay, well, I suppose that was a fun rant. So there you go. Honestly, this was a fun one to record, even if that is a little bit of a grim statement to say. It is what it is. If you want to support our show and help us pay the bills, check out today's sponsor. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.